Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This is from Clark, Washington. Netflix has been in the news as of late for all the wrong reasons, and seems things are only going to get worse, if the rap is to be believed. Yesterday, they reported that along with 30 Rock, which is leaving the service on July 31st, they could end up losing 10 high-profile licensed TV titles by 2026 should extensions not be reached by Netflix and the series owners. What are your thoughts on this latest development for Netflix?
All right, thanks a lot for sharing that, man. And yeah, listen, it's we've been talking a lot about some of the troubles and trials and tribulations of Netflix has been having, and I don't want to. Listen, I'm a big Netflix fan. I'm on Netflix almost every day. I love Netflix. Maybe you'd be forgiven for not picking up on that, considering that whenever we're talking about Netflix, it seems to be a lot of doom and gloom we're talking about. But I'm a big fan of Netflix. I like their stuff, particularly their TV. However, it is relevant to talk about the struggles they've been facing because they have faced a lot. And as we mentioned just a little bit earlier in the show, they have lost $200 billion in valuation in the last number of months. And they are facing some challenges. Now, one of the challenges that we've talked a bunch before on the show is that amongst their most watched stuff is not their originals. Now, they're starting to become a little more prevalent on their service, absolutely, which is great. But a lot of their most popular stuff is their archived content. It's their content that is created by other people that they then bring over and show on their network. And that has a lot to do with their viewership. And for a lot of people, that's why a lot of people subscribe to Netflix. There's a lot of people who do subscribe to Netflix for Stranger Things and The Crown and things like that, absolutely. But I think it's fair to say that probably the majority of people who sign up to Netflix, they sign up so they can watch shows like the Gilmore Girls and things like that, which sounds weird to say, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about they could be facing this problem where now that all these studios and production houses are creating their own streaming services, like The Office is gone. Parks and Rec is gone. They're going to be facing more and more challenges. Well, a report came out in the Wrap to talk about 10 big time shows that they have coming to an end of their licenses. And this could be a problem for them. So let's go over to the Campea classroom here for a second. Take a look at this. One of the shows that they're losing quickly is New Girl. This is a very popular show and a delightful show, by the way. This was the 10th most watched acquired series on streaming as of 2021. Think about that. The 10th most watched acquired series in 2021. And they're looking at losing New Girl in 2023. Next, they're losing Community. Now, again, all these they are scheduled to lose. They may be able to renegotiate and get the licenses back. But as of right now, according to these reports, they're going to be losing Community in 2024. And this would be the second time that they lost that show. So when they got it back, it was of course for big celebration for a lot of people, but they lost it. A show I've never watched once, but is scary popular. They're scheduled to lose NCIS in 2024. It was the 4th most watched show in 2021 on streaming. Is NCIS. And I'm sure a lot of people who watch this show have never seen NCIS, but believe me, the audience for that is monstrous.
Yeah.
Absolutely monstrous. It's like BTS. I never listen to their stuff, but you best believe they have a massive following. A huge, huge, huge
Not
following.
listen to Dynamite? Come on.
They're no
it's a banger.
Blackpink.
That's true.
They're no Blackpink. Next one,
minor,
another
yeah.
show I've never watched, but was hugely popular. How to Get Away with Murder. This show spent 63 days in Netflix's top 10 carousel. That's how popular it was. And I've never watched it myself. I've never seen it myself, but it spent 63 days on the top 10 carousel. Okay, another one that they're losing. Baking Bad. Breaking Bad. They're scheduled to lose Breaking Bad in February 2025. Now, we don't need to say anything about that. There's a lot of television fans who consider Breaking Bad to be the greatest television show of all time. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people consider it to be like the greatest show of all time. Next, they're scheduled to lose The Good Place in 2025. This is a show that spent 88 days in Netflix's top 10 carousel. 88 days in that, and they're scheduled to lose The Good Place. Also, this one speaks to me. Supernatural.
Hell yeah.
Of course, one of my favorite shows. Absolutely love that. Supernatural, 7th most watched acquired series in 2021 for Netflix. 7th most watched acquired series for Netflix in 2021. They're scheduled to lose that. Also, we were just talking about this, the Gilmore Girls. This one speaks to my wife's heart. She loves the Gilmore Girls. But this is a hugely popular show with a big and important demographic. So that's when they're scheduled to lose. How's this one? Seinfeld. Seinfeld? Seinfeld. They're scheduled to lose that in 2026 to Sony. Netflix paid $500 million for the current license they have. And if Seinfeld does indeed leave after that, that $500 million is spent. And they would have gotten a lot out of it. But one of the most celebrated comedies of all time, Seinfeld. Rounding this out is a show, again, I've only seen a little bit of. I never really watched a lot of this show, but is Shameless. A lot of people love Shameless. And that's a show that's wrapping up now anyway with William H. Macy. But still, I mean, look at this rundown they have. New Girl, Community, NCIS, How to Get Away with Murder, Breaking Bad, The Good Place, Supernatural, Gilmore Girls, Seinfeld. I mean, look, again, when we talk about Netflix, we are talking about The Gray Man. We're talking about Stranger Things. We're talking about Umbrella Academy. We're talking about a lot of these originals. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the bread and butter in Netflix is that curated content. Curated content is their bread and butter. And Netflix knew that this was coming years ago. Years ago, Netflix, the bosses at Netflix had the foresight to know that this was coming. And that's why they started doubling down and started making all this original content, because they knew eventually they were going to lose the stuff that was paying their bills. Have they done a good enough job in that transition? Time is yet to tell. We don't know for sure. But anyway, Chris, you see this list, a lot of big name programming that has been the bread and butter of stuff like Netflix, all scheduled to leave at this point. Big deal, not as big of a deal. How do you see it?
It's a very big deal because they need money. What are you doing, guys? And we've seen study after study showing that rewatchability is very, very important for people too, especially those who suffer from anxiety because of those pre-existing conditions that you're aware of, right? You know what's going to happen in the show. It lowers those anxiety levels. And that's why we saw such an uptick in people rewatching these shows throughout the last 3 years while we all were sequestered in our homes, because this was something that we knew how it was going to end. That gave us comfort and closure and made us feel safe. So this has been huge for Netflix over the past few years. New Girl is the thing I rewatch the most. Logan's caller ID is a picture of Nick Miller. I mean, that's just us right there.
I love New Girl. I really do.
Oh, it's just so great.
You really are Jess. Like, you really are in every way that matters.
Yeah, I was her stand-in once. My dad wanted me to go tell her that I needed to be written to the show. And I was like, yeah, that's how that works, Dad. Thank you so much. I love that. Thank you for that advice. But I think this is a very big problem, though, because so many people do come to this particular streaming service for these shows. And this is why things like Peacock, though, you're seeing an uptick with them because of being able to watch The Office. They're going to get Parks and Rec at some point, too, I'm sure. And that's going to make things more difficult for Netflix.
And one of the reasons that Jonathan brought up this 30 Rock image is because that one is leaving in the next, I believe the next few weeks. 30 Rock is leaving. That's one of the most popular. Yeah. There's another big one they're losing imminently as well that I can't remember which one that was, but it went along with 30 Rock. So they're losing that as well. I mean, it's a big thing. So that's part of the reason when we were talking earlier, why are they dropping $200 million in movies? Because they are desperate to make sure they are seen as an original content place, not the curated content place, which is what has made them the biggest name in streaming for years. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to navigate and manage this. Questions for you guys. What do you think about this? With all these shows leaving, do you think Netflix is going to be able to pivot in time to really get everybody acclimated to their own originals network? Do you think it's going to hurt them a lot, losing all this curated content that has been their bread and butter for so long? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's episode, the new Peacock series, The Resort. In Peacock's must-see new series, there's more than just trouble in paradise. There's a flip phone, a disappearance, and a suspiciously timed hurricane. The Resort, a new Peacock original from the creators of Palm Springs and Mr. Robot, is an unexpected exploration of how love, marriage, and family can be a real trip. When a couple finds an old flip phone in the jungle on an anniversary getaway, they are unknowingly pulled into an unsolved mystery, a bizarre case that went cold 15 years prior when a once-in-a-century storm wiped away all evidence. This journey through the Mayan Riviera will take you from the edge of your seat to the depths of human experience and back again. Starring William Jackson Harper, Kristen Milioti, Luis Gerardo Mendez, and Nick Offerman, the resort is streaming July 28th only on Peacock.